Hello, and welcome back to the Ask the Color Expert podcast. Today's special guest is Tomas from What's Going On Hair from Instagram, which I love that catchy title. Tomas is a haircutting educator and has many years of experience and lots of wisdom to share with us on our fabulous industry that we all call
Oh, I don't
beauty and
disappoint.
hairdressing. No, of course not. Welcome, Tomas. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I just took Tomas's Zoom virginity. I'm excited about that because I don't know how many people I could say that about.
And it went fine.
It
It went
did.
fine. I'm good. You know,
You survived.
I survived.
I'm absolutely amazed that you've made it through COVID and beyond without being on a Zoom. So you must have a much more interesting life than I do. I've spent the whole entire year and a half on Zoom multiple times a day, every day, basically. So I'm guessing, I know that you are doing lots of education. Is all of your education in person? And that's how you've avoided the
Yeah, you
Zoom?
know, I I I really like the hands-on when it comes to especially haircutting. I do have my students and a lot of times I give them homework and it looks great. It looks great when they send me the pictures and all that. And then when they bring the doll head in and I start going through it, there's a lot of maybe things that we could have improved on, which we do here in class. So if I was to do a Zoom class, I feel that a lot would be lost. It needs to be hands-on. I need to be there. I really need to see what's going on. Body position, the way the distribution of the hair, the way the scissors are held. Of course, you can do that in Zoom, but I believe it's limited. So I kind of rode through the COVID situation and waited when the system said it was okay to get him back in here and work hands-on.
So where is there? I know you're in California, but what part of California?
Montrose, California, which is basically Upper Glendale. And it's just a little cute little town up here in Upper Glendale. Pasadena would be Pasadena's to our west, and then we have La Crescenta east. And a lot of people are familiar with the Pasadena area. But really, a lot of times when I say Montrose, if I just say Glendale, because it really is Glendale, it's just a small little town. People say, oh, okay, Glendale. But we call it Montrose because, we're special. Cute little town.
So speaking of small, I get the impression that you like to work with a smaller group, which I love. I've seen a lot of buzz in social media this past maybe 3 months of people saying, I just want to get to a hands-on in-person class again. I think people appreciate the hands-on in person, and I think they appreciate a smaller group and more of you, rather than you having hundreds of people. How many people do you normally have in a
You
session?
know, my salon used to be bigger. We had to kind of cut it in half because of the COVID, so we lost a certain part of it. But I can fit about 4 people safely in my
That's
salon
perfect.
now. 4 to 6.
I
I
love that.
really like to focus on my professional students and also students, and I can get a little too scattered, brain. And so 4 to 6 is a good amount, good number for me, because I really like to focus on individually as much as possible. Now I do individual classes one-on-one, and those are also options. But I
And do
come
you
from
predominantly do cutting or do you do a little bit of everything?
no, it's cutting. I take my students through a program beginning. We have the principles of hair cutting. I take them from, let's say, for example, a line all the way through into layering. So the principles of cutting a one length, which we call maximum weight, taking them through graduation, and then moving into layers. And even within those principles, there's a lot to learn. Like, for example, when we start with a line, we do a triangle. First, we start with a one length. So I really start them, I don't care at what level you're at, we really start with the basics. Then we move into a triangular line, which we share with our clients as an A line. Then I move them into a square, bob per se, and then I work into a round line. And once we get through those, we go into graduation, and there's external graduation, internal graduation. Now, we get together once a month, so it can take just one full year, if not a little bit more, just to get through graduation. And then we move into the layers, which of course, we have convex, concave, and flat. And after the program, which is basically really about a 3-year program. Now, you don't have to do this, but I do have stylists close by that can take the time, and they're close enough where they can come once a month. We move into creative cutting, which is basically applying all the techniques and principles, and then you yourself create your own shapes and your own haircuts per se. But then again, that's what we call our Sunday, Monday program. If you want to do private lessons, they can even move faster, but it's up to you to get here. We spend 3 or 4 days together. We get as far as we can to those 4 days, and then of course, you go and you practice, and you come back whenever you can, and then we continue and progress. So we do. That's stylists do have that option.
I
But
love that. We have juniors, brand new stylists that are out of school. And as you know, when the salon's busy, the busier stylists that have, 25 years experience just don't have the time to stop and explain the why of what they're doing. And my daughter's now running my salon, and she's like, oh, I wish I could just send them to somebody that could really take it sounds like you're that person, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind being sent to California.
Thank you. And the interesting thing too is, for my background as an apprentice, it's really important that the stylists, with all the respect, no matter how busy they are, is to take the time and educate their team. Each individual stylist, when let's say, for example, I'll use Sassoon, through my program, there was a stylist that was chosen by the Vidal Sassoon Academy, and they educated you that evening. So they took that time, and it was their time to get you through the program. And then the following week would be another stylist. So it was kind of rotating. And they were kind of, they had so much passion about their craft that they didn't mind sharing it with the up and coming. You do have those that would roll their eyes. Oh, I'm so busy. We got to make the time, let's make the time for them, because, it gives them a sense of goal driven and motivation. And we got to give that to them. It cannot just be us, the individual. It's got to be the team effort, which unfortunately, that's what's starting to happen, with all due respect, with those sweet salons where it's just one stylist or two. There's not a whole lot of sharing going on, unless it's through Instagram or your Facebook. So I do miss that. My salon is a 2-chair salon. I do miss that, looking across and seeing what somebody was doing and thinking, wow, what's going on over there? Of course, not interrupting them during that time, and then that's like, I always say, challenge yourself. But there's always that stylist in the salon that was outdoing you, and you just had to do better to kind of, so there's that kind of play back and forth. Who's the best cutter per se?
I know we miss having that, like, Warren Beatty shampoo days.
Oh my
where it was like
God.
pristine. You probably lived that in your apprentice.
I lived it. Yeah. I love that. Yes. Yeah. Warren, wow. Yes.
What happened to that though? Why did it shift so much?
Well, God, that was, in the 60s and 70s, it was really all about the relationship between in the movie Shampoo, about the female client and the good looking, studly hairdresser. I think what happened, it was a great movie. That movie was based, and I almost worked for him. His name was Gene Jacob.
Oh, okay.
Look him up, and he was the one that helped the writer write it. And the 60s and 70s was all about that, about sex and drugs. And when Sassoon kind of came in, even though Leo Passage from Pivot Point,
Yeah.
I mean, he is so underestimated. That man was a creative genius. He gave our our career, he gave our profession a language. When Sassoon came in with haircuts were basically created in the 20s, and he kind of reinvented them. Then that whole discipline came into when it comes to haircutting, then Ann Humphrey with color. We kind of lost that when big business got into our profession.
Mm-hmm.
When these companies were bought out by Procter and Gamble, when they were brought out by these major companies, and then it was more about the money, and it was less about the craft. It was more about the razzle dazzle, which you see a lot of today. And you'll see that when I do what I do in my program, and I tell my students this all the time: master your craft. The creativity will come later.
Mm.
You know, become the best. And when it comes to those real avant-garde haircuts, that's only really about 1% of our industry. The other 99% are the beautiful classic lines. And if you learn these lines, you can make a lot of money. And then after, when you got that support, your financial support, then you move into the razzle dazzle creativity stuff, if you find the clients for it. In the 90s, there was no problem finding models for asymmetrical looks and very avant-garde feels. We've gotten more as time, it's become more of a business, which everything is a business, but it's become more paycheck to paycheck. So we've kind of lost that creativity. And I think we may have given it a little bit back to the clients, instead of us being the ones that stand behind the chair and say, hey, look, this is what's happening, this is what's going on. And we took a lot more chances in the 80s. I started hair in 78, but we took more chances in the 80s and 90s. We were kind of in charge. And when big business came in, they started saying, well, it's more the client is right, which is, we know that's not necessarily true, always right. So we've kind of lost it when big business came in. Kind of took it away. Now it's more razzle dazzling us,
I agree. I see so many times, people will reach out for help on the Facebook forums and say, my client doesn't want bleach, or my client doesn't want this or that. And I'm like, when did this happen? I don't ever remember asking my client what they wanted on their hair. I asked them for a picture, a photo, and some guidance, but not the how. The what, yes, the how, no. And now it's like, Instagram and Pinterest have made them armed and dangerous, and they know just enough to be annoying, but not enough to really know what they're asking for properly.
Very misinformed.
Yeah.
They're just very misinformed. And then we have to take that additional time to kind of educate them before moving into our craft and creating. It's definitely, yeah. So yeah, that's for me, just to reiterate, that's what basically happened. Our industry was taken away from us. We had a lot of respect. The consumer really respected us for a good long time. And then we open up, not us, but well, it starts with us, because let's say, for example, Supercuts. Those were actually two hairdressers that kind of created that, get in, get out, and we were a lot more, when you walked into a salon, there was just a lot more prestige. Now it's getting them in, getting them out, do it for $7. The blow dry bars. I mean, people used to come into our salons and pay $80, $90.
I know. Do you remember when the blow dry bars first came out? People were like, wow, what an amazing idea. I'm like, we've been doing professional we've all been doing, really nice blowouts for years. We just didn't make such a big deal out of it the way that menu became. It's almost like clients didn't know we did that. They would come and get their hair cut and get it blown out, but they didn't even think to come and just get a blowout.
Right.
But yeah, it was like every salon has blowouts.
Yeah, and we were paid good money. And then these places open up and they cut the prices. And unfortunately, we participate because we're the hairdressers that go to these places and do the blowout. And we're working for people that have never even touched a brush or a scissor or a comb. People outside of our business. I always said I will never not work for myself, but I would never work for anybody that's never been behind the chair.
Mm.
But now, you could, these franchises, and you're working for somebody that knows nothing about our business, telling us what to do. So we contributed to that. And it started in the 70s. But I just know till then, and I remember even to the 80s, we were very well respected. Our craft, we as hairdressers were very well respected. It was an honorable trade, and it still is. But we've been dumbed down. I mean, look at a lot of these I don't know, states that are looking to just make our
Do away with the
craft
licensing.
do away
Yeah.
with licensing,
Yeah.
and we have a lot to do with that. You know, by working in these places.
Well, right now, the new popularity is mobile, going onto an app and getting somebody to come to your house. I can tell you, I moved to Florida almost 3 years ago. And when
Mhm.
I first got here, I could not find anybody decent to put my color on. So I was just like, whatever, I'll do it myself. And I've owned a salon for 32 years. I never put my own color on. It is miserable. I mean, I have a white bathroom. I was getting it all over the place. And I've been doing this for 35 years. I couldn't wait for that damn timer to go off. And when I'm in the shower, I'm just thinking about how this retouch is running over my blonde and muddying everything down because I can't put the pressure on really high and separate it the way I can in a sink. I've done my daughter's hair where I have to stick her head in the sink. And I'm like, how are celebrities? I know for sure that Kris Jenner has Tracy Cunningham go to her house and she lays on the kitchen counter and then dips her head back in her kitchen sink. Kris Jenner, they have, millions and millions of dollar homes in the Hollywood Hills. Put a little salon and throw a sink and a chair. Like, why are you laying on your kitchen counter?
Yeah.
And the mobile prices are higher than in the salon. I'm like, this is so backwards, like the salon. And that's what I meant when I referred to Warren Beatty. I didn't mean you sleeping with all of your clients. I meant like the salon was like a place that people looked forward to going. It was
Yes.
fun and upbeat and the music and all, and that's all gone. Everybody's in these little drawers. I call them Stuart little drawers. I did a suite for like a minute when I first moved here because it's all I ever knew was hair. So I'm like, all right, I have to just go and get myself a suite and start doing it. And I had a salon when I was 22. I started out by myself. So I knew I could be by myself, but it's been probably, 25 years since I was by myself. So I tried it and I didn't like it at all. Like it was just so isolating. It was just me and the client and just, nobody connects with each other at the suite. Like I pictured everybody, interacting in a break room or something, some kind of community piece. And I don't know whether it was just mine. I shouldn't say that about maybe all of them aren't the same, but there's just something missing to your point. Like when you can look across the salon and be like, wow, look at that color she just did.
Yeah,
Or,
just
look at that client's bob swinging when she turns her head. I missed that a lot.
yeah. I did too, walking in, checking out the stylist as they're working, as you're prepping up. It was a great presentation. We would help each other. We grew as a team. I don't know if I'm saying the quote correctly, but they say if you want to go, what is it? If you want to go far or something, go alone. Oh God, I wish I remember
If you
that
want to
quote.
go fast, if you want to go fast,
Go alone. If you want to
go
go
alone.
far,
If you want to go far, go together. Yeah.
together. And that's the way I was introduced to the profession. And that's something that really has kind of been lost. Will it come back? It'd be nice. I mean, I have another maybe 15 years in the business because I love this. I don't, it's funny when people ask me, well, what else would you do? I think I'm with you. I don't know
Can't even
anything.
imagine. Yeah. Can't imagine doing anything else.
I don't know anything else but hair, you know? Um, but just to reiterate a little bit, when it comes to our newcomers, I know that when it comes to beauty schools, they just want to get you through pass, state board. Now there are schools out there that give you a little bit more than that, which is nice. But when they come into the real world, I see a lot of them immediately, renting stations and getting
Right
into
out of
these.
school. Yeah.
Oh my God, after beauty school, I spent 4 years apprenticing, then continuing education. You know, I'm lucky enough to work under these guys like Henry Abel, Christopher Brooker. You know, I never got to meet, not never got to work with Roger Thompson, but these were like incredible cutters that I had the opportunity, Trevor Sorby, the opportunity to work under, you know, and just watch them and help me grow. And one thing I'm a little concerned about is, you know, the new incoming stylists, you know, where do they go? Because there used to be places that had the reputation, you know, because unfortunately they'll go into apprentice programs and they'll be used and abused. And so we had more of a guideline in those days compared to these days.
I agree. And I love
That,
that you brought up the apprentice relationship, apprentice mentor relationship, because that is gone. I haven't seen that in at least 5 years. And that's something that literally keeps me awake at night because I have relationships and I'm counting you as one of them now because there's a reason that we connected. I can sense that you have that passion for giving someone a result, a tangible result when they walk away from a class with you. You're not smoke and mirrors, like here's a funky, trendy thing that's going to last a minute. You're talking about classic lines, classic techniques that are going to form that foundation for them moving forward to be able to do any haircut. When I went to Sassoon, I did the 5-day cut and color.
classic.
I had already done, hair for several years. I had already owned a salon for 7 years, was fully booked and happy as a clam, but I felt like a fake. I did not know what I was doing with cutting hair. I did it all by feel. And I would go in, and because I was doing it by feel, I was creating all these lumps and lines because I wasn't using any kind of structure. And then I would spend the next 25 minutes getting the lumps and lines out with texturizing shears and, just trying to like break it up and work through it. And I was like, I thought I had imposter syndrome. I came home to my husband. My daughter was 9 months old. And I said, I really think I need to take a step back and own that I really don't know what the hell I'm doing and get my butt to Vidal Sassoon. Like I need that structure in my life. I need to understand the bone structure, why you want to take haircut to here versus here. How do you decide between that? What does it mean? To have a side part versus the center part and, face shape, eye shape, all of those things. And when I got there, I remember the first day being in tears when I got back to my hotel. It was just too much, but looking back, it was the best 5 days and the best investment I ever made in my life because it's never too late to say, I don't know. Tuck your attitude and your ego between your legs and get the help that you need. And that's something I don't see right now. I see a lot of people faking it, and going paycheck to paycheck until they hit like year 15. And then it's either go become an x-ray technician, a nurse, a teacher, or quit altogether.
It's interesting because when I was at Vidal Sassoon, this was around 85, 86, Christopher Brooker, he was the top hair cutter of our time. And I said, Christopher, where do you get your inspiration? And he said, I look down. I see what's coming up. I see what the new kids are doing, and I take it and I make it my own. And I've been in the business going on 40 years, 35 years in the business, very successful. I came across this cutter named Mike from the Kingley Hair Group. He is incredible what he's doing with hair cutting and the way he's reintroducing the techniques and principles. I reached out to him, and I've been with him now for about 3.5 years. And I remember when we first started, he was like, what are you doing here? I mean, this guy, Sassooner, you're successful. What are you doing here? Tell him, you got something I want. I don't care how long you've been in the business. I don't care how old you are. If you got something that I want to, and he has, and I thought I knew it all. He has evolved me as an educator and as a hair cutter beyond belief. And this is a guy that when I started with Sassoon was like 6 years old in a skateboard.
Wow.
And look at him now. He's I'm 59. He's like 46. But he had something. I saw him cutting. There's a great educational program called Nick Education, an excess.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, he's awesome. And I saw one of those videos, and there was Mike, and I said, this dude, I got to learn from him. So I don't care, And there's that whole thing. Well, you've been in the business 30 years. You should know more. Not
No.
necessarily. So my ego is gone when it comes to education. I will hunt you down, and I'm gonna. What you got, I want. And it's been a great 3.5 years with this guy.
I love
So
that. Is he local to you, or do you have to drive
oh,
him in?
I would drive once a month for 2 days to San Diego, spend
Wow.
the night. I would spend Sunday, Monday with him at 3.5 years, and come home once a month. And he's worth every penny. And I went into my savings and I started pulling out money to train with this guy.
That's awesome.
But I got to give him the credit. This man has made me much better at everything in our industry when it comes to cutting and even teaching. If my ego would have got in the way, because I've been in the business 35 years, I know more than him, I wouldn't have gotten to this next step, which is great. People are saying, well, what? That's so old. Why, it really has nothing to do with me or my age. I'm just so hungry about our industry and our profession that I will constantly be progressing and looking to improve myself. Because that's what we do as artists. We're not happy. And if you're ever truly happy at your work or at your craft, get out.
You're getting too settled and complacent.
Get out.
You mentioned Annie earlier, Annie Humphreys. My first hair color experience, I was so clueless and so desperate for the education, and Hair Color USA was in Miami. It was the first year that they did it, and I was 19 years old. I had never been on an airplane, and I got myself there, and I looked up on the stage, and there was Annie Humphreys putting hair color on. Do you remember the old school picture square things? It was like the negative in a thing. She was putting the negative thing over hair and then painting in the squares. So, like, she was so far ahead of her time. I mean, they're showing that now. That was, I'm 54, I was 19. But I do a 2-day virtual hair show called Revival, which I would love to have you next year for Revival. We did not know each other when I was doing the lineup for this year. I was looking to get in touch with Annie, and nobody can seem to get in touch with her. Last I heard, she's living in the south of France and is very happy to be retired and relaxed and, off on her merry way. But I would love to have her, even if it was for 10 minutes, just talk at the event.
They sold Sassoon a while back ago, and they all just disappeared. Christopher Brooker, I do keep in touch with Christopher Brooker. He's also somewhere in the south of France. One lady that was powerful, Jerry Casunza from Sebastian, the woman that actually can't get a hold of her. She's done. They're like, and I respect it. I mean, I would love for this woman to be interviewed, and she was such a leader in our industry. I'd like to get those people back, but I think they're kind of done. They're probably like, okay, that's great. And they kind of moved on. Just to add to our conversation, and we were talking about, the newcomers and how important it is as us as experienced stylists to help them grow. I'll go to beauty schools. Well, now with the COVID thing kind of fell through, but there was a couple of, when I would give a lecture there or, do a demo, a couple of students that I would kind of see that they kept focused in the class and so forth. And what I would do is free education at no charge. They would just have to pay for their doll heads. I would actually take my Thursdays, where I could have been booking 3 or 4 clients starting at 5 o'clock, and they'd come in, and at no charge, we work on hair cutting. And I've had incredible experiences. There's a great girl, Anna Maria McCain, and she started with me halfway through she was in beauty school, and then she'd come and train once or twice a week with me. And by the time she finished beauty school, she was way ahead of the game when it came to haircutting.
That's
And,
amazing.
and I just find that's better than cash. Just watch them grow. But they got to show discipline. They got to show the
Right.
education, because it just, they got to value my time. And that's one thing where value, giving ourselves value. It's very important. And we can't let people step on us. So when they came in and I would work with them, of course, you have 3 or 4 and they all wither away. And then you have that 1 or 2 that stay through the whole program, and
Because they realize the value of what you're offering them. It's a maturity thing.
yeah. And so I've had incredible experience doing that, bringing people and helping them grow, and then watching them continue in their journey. It just makes me feel good. It doesn't have to always be about money, but you will give me discipline, and you will show up on time. And that this suffices enough for me when it comes to the newcomers, in our business. So I just wanted to share that with you too.
I
About
love that,
how,
because that's where I was going with that conversation about true mentorship versus education. I think a lot of people don't know that there is a difference. They think, like, oh, I love this educator, they're my mentor. But I think a mentor relationship is so much more than technique, so much more than how to step by step. It's more a nurturing relationship of, like Karate Kid, you know what I mean? Like where that person just becomes
yeah,
part of your life and your family. Like that's the kind of mentorship that I love to have with people. So it's something that, like I said, I stare at the ceiling at night trying to figure out, how can I have Tomas and Elaine and Beth Minardi and,
Beth Minardi.
Ian McCabe. Like there's so many people that do what you and I do, and we're all doing it on our own. We're all like doing our own thing alone, doing it with a small group of people, where I would love to have some sort of, that's what I can't seem to figure out how it works. Cause I know you're not a fan of virtual, and virtual makes it easier with us all being in a different place, but a true mentorship where it's not just part the hair, this is how you hold the fingers. It's, hey, Jill, how's it going? How's it going with your clients? How's your confidence? That check-in of a true, someone that's a little bit further ahead of you that can kind of reach down and pull you up
Yeah.
and help you get through things a little easier.
If you're the best in the room, find another room.
Yeah.
You gotta, I'm constantly seeking people better than me, that I can grow with, because, if you're the big fish in the pond, you basically ain't going anywhere. And another thing I like to touch on is customer service. There's a lot of us that are really good at what we do, but we suck at customer service. And one thing I learned through my apprentice program was customer service, and how to treat a client, and how to be respectable, how to market ourselves. I mean, we didn't have doll heads in the 80s. You had to go out and find models. And by doing that, it taught you how to build a clientele.
100%.
Because I remember when there's a gentleman named Alan Benfield Bush from he used to own the ABBA Academy, the method.
Yeah.
When I first left beauty school, I was with him for 3 months. And he was like, I need 4 models. And we would run out there and we would get these models. And one thing that he taught me was how to build a clientele. I got so used to rejection that when I finally left, and then I went to Sassoon after, but prior to that, I spent a couple of months out of the educational program. I went to a salon called Heidi's here in Glendale, in the Glendale Mall. And I was, within 3 months, I had a full clientele, because I walked into every business and, hey, I'm a hairdresser.
Yeah.
And I see somebody walking by and say, hey, I'd like to do your hair. I would have never been able to do that if I didn't get used to the rejection. It became secondary. And then customer service. There's a great book, and I'm sure you heard, by Dale Carnegie, How to Make Friends and Influence People.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome book. There's another great book for students that I like. It's called Steal Like an Artist.
I have it.
Okay, girl, you know what I'm talking about. And we also have that aspect. Real quick story, when I was finishing my apprentice program at Vidal Sassoon, Christopher Brooker was given a master's class, which was like $2,600 to $3,000 a week. And it was 1 week. And then you had the classic courses and everything. They were like 500, 400, 350. And he said, you're going to help me teach this class. And I was just out of an apprentice program. How can I teach master? And these cars start showing up, and the Mercedes, Jaguars, and these beautiful, well-dressed people were coming into the class. And I'm freaking out because that image, they just had incredible value. What am I going to do? And when they start cutting hair, they were
You
okay.
knew more than them. Yeah.
But the thing was, is boy, they had charisma. If you drop the comb, they will be the first ones to pick it up. Can I get you a glass of water? They were so professional. They had that so locked in, and they were making the money. The very technical ones that did beautiful haircuts, they were in the $250 weekly course because they didn't listen to their clients. They knew nothing about customer service. It was all about them. And I learned that just throughout my career, but that really was the booster about how important your presentation, the way you look, the way you conduct yourself. To be honest, you can get away in this profession just by those things and be a mediocre stylist.
I agree 100%. I always teach anyone who comes to work for our salon that it's all about the 80-20 rule, that, if you have great customer service skills, confidence, and you're just kind and you give the client attention, you really don't have to be that great at the technical skills, because there's a lot of bad hair walking around that clients think are great. They don't know good from bad. They know how they felt when they were in your space and in your care. So it's so much more important. Absolutely. I love that. Well, I know I want to sign up for your cutting classes. So tell me how people can reach you and have this amazing small class opportunity with such a master.
Oh, thank you. Please continue. They can reach me through What's Going On Here on the Instagram, and which a lot of them do. And from there, we can talk about a one-on-one course, a private course. The Sunday, Monday classes we're just finishing up in October. We start again in January, February. If they're in my area, they're more welcome to reach out, and we can talk about the program and what it's about, and get them involved. So yes, that would be their options,
That's awesome. Do you ever travel? Because there's a beauty school here that I want to start doing events at in Sarasota.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. We'll talk about that when we're done recording.
Real quick, really briefly though, I had a story for you, but you know what? I might share it next time with you, because it kind of just slipped my mind.
That's because I'm an interrupter. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no,
I just wanted to make sure people know how to find you.
No, that was awesome. Thank you for that. Yes, please. Thank you so much.
But everyone listening, please reach out and experience this amazing educator and all of his wonderful years of experience, and just those core foundations that never go out of style, that are so important to what we do behind the chair, especially longevity. I noticed after I came out of Sassoon, my clients, their grow out was, they didn't even need a haircut for 3 weeks longer than they did before, because it was actually cut well and grew in really nice.
Right. Yeah, I remember my story really quick. So when I worked at Vidal Sassoon, there was Christoph. There's a guy named Christoph that worked in Beverly Hills. He's the one that did Clinton's hair on the plane or something. Yeah. And there was his assistant was Sophia, and I was so in love with Sophia. So I'd race over on my lunchtime, and I go to see Sophia. And one day he looks at me and says, "You can't wear," because we used to wear Vidal Sassoon shirts, as assistants. And I said, "Okay, I'm sorry." And he said to me, "You're wasting your time at Sassoon's." And I said, "What's that?" He goes, "All you need to do is learn 3 haircuts and vary the lengths." And he's right. Christoph was making a lot of money doing that. But my profession, my craft was more important to me than just learning 3 haircuts and just being the business aspect. I wanted to get a lot deeper. And hence here I am.
I love that. And it definitely has paid off. That's amazing. I'm so happy to meet you. I loved our chat, and I hope everyone listening will, take the time to follow you on your Instagram.
Thank you
It's
so much.
What's Going On Hair. I like that. And yeah, definitely let's get together and do some fun things
I would
together.
love to. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you on the next one.